Jan gasped for air, his heart pounding in his chest, as if it were about to stop. The feeling was overwhelming, suffocating. He was a man on the verge of death, his body betraying him after years of relentless drive and toil. Jan, an industrial mechanical designer for the past 20 years, had worked tirelessly, pouring all his energy into his career. Yet despite his hard work, all that he had gained were disappointments and a life steeped in loneliness. His efforts had never led to the success he had dreamed of, and now the weight of it all had broken him mentally. The once unyielding determination he had carried throughout his life had worn down, and now his life hung by the thinnest thread. From the moment he was born, life had never been kind to Jan. His parents had died in a car accident, leaving him an orphan. Despite the hardships, Jan had gritted his teeth and endured, hoping that one day life would recognize his efforts and grant him the success he longed for. But that day never came. After graduating, he had found a job at a company with a low salary, barely scraping by. For over 20 years, his life had been a cycle of hardship and solitude. Jan had lived alone, never once experiencing the touch of another's hand, never forming the bonds that many took for granted. Now, on the brink of death, he questioned whether any of it had been worth it. His closest friend tried desperately to rouse him, shouting his name in an attempt to bring him back from the brink. But even in the face of his friend's concern, Jan could not help but wonder about the meaning of his life. Was it truly worth it? His exhaustion had overcome him, and the thought of just slipping into eternal rest seemed like an appealing escape. Then, without warning, Jan opened his eyes. But the world before him was not the same. The sterile clinical environment he had known was gone. Instead, he found himself surrounded by an entirely new setting: silk curtains, sparkling crystal lights, and an atmosphere of opulence. The luxurious surroundings immediately caught his attention. His first thought was that he must have burned through his savings for a room like this, but before he could consider this further, a notification appeared in his mind, its message clear and direct. Welcome to the magical continent of Elda. In his confusion, Jan began to process what was happening. Could this be one of those familiar isekai stories he had heard about? Had he somehow been transported to another world? It took him a moment to realize that he was no longer Jan, the industrial designer from his previous life. Now he was Ren Edgar, the third son of the Duke of the Allen Edgar family. Over the next week, Ren adjusted to his new life in this strange world. Everything around him felt like a dream in which he was the object of constant attention and care. Servants were always present, ready to attend to his needs, and he gradually grew accustomed to the lavish treatment. It was a stark contrast to the life he had left behind. As Ren began to understand the reality of his situation, it became clear that his life in Elda was not his own. He had somehow ended up in the body of Ren Edgar, a young man pampered and loved by his family. The Duke and Duchess had cared for him deeply from a young age, providing for his every need. His older sister and brother showered him with affection, ensuring he never went without. The family had even gone so far as to provide him with special items like magic water, said to enhance one's magical powers, and clothes personally made by his mother. Being the youngest child, Ren Edgar had been spoiled and cherished. Despite the comfort and luxury, Ren felt like a stranger in this new life. He questioned why he, a man who had struggled so much in his previous life, had been granted such privilege. It was hard to reconcile the life he had lived with the one he now experienced. Still, in his moments of introspection, he tried to comfort himself by thinking that perhaps these lavish rewards were compensations for the suffering he had endured in his past life. Elda was a magnificent world where magic powered every facet of life. The continent was a realm where every system, every structure, relied on the mystical energy that permeated the land. The Koriel Empire, the largest human empire on this continent, held dominion over vast territories. Elda was not only home to humans, but also to other races such as elves, dwarves, and many more. The Edgar family, to which Ren now belonged, was one of the most prominent noble houses, overseeing a vast land of about 300,000 square kilometers. This territory, rich with fertile fields and teeming with life, housed around 1 million inhabitants, all living under the rule of the Edgar family. As a noble, Ren enjoyed a life filled with luxury. He had an abundance of clothing, food, and even a personal maid who attended to his every need. This life of comfort, he often thought, might have been a reward for the struggles he had endured in his past life. Yet, no matter how many times he gazed into the mirror, Ren could still see the reflection of his former self. Yan, staring back at him. The memories of his previous life lingered like a shadow, reminding him that he could not fully sever his ties to the person he had once been. At times, he found himself questioning if he truly deserved such a life of ease, given all the hardships he had faced before. Ren's thoughts were interrupted when Leah, a beautiful girl with a charming smile, entered the room. She was the one who informed him that his father had requested his presence. Ren followed her, his mind still clouded with uncertainty, and soon found himself standing in front of his father, Alan Edgar. Alan, a man of commanding presence, was seated in his study, surrounded by reports and papers from various parts of the family's territory. Ren greeted his father with the courtesy expected of a noble son, and waited for his father's instructions. Alan looked at Ren with a serious gaze, his eyes scrutinizing his son. The weight of his father's gaze made Ren feel uneasy, an anxiety settling in his chest. The seriousness in his father's eyes only heightened his unease. "Do you know why I called for you?" Alan's voice was firm, and Ren, still adjusting to this new world, was unsure of the reason behind the summons. Ren hesitated, unsure of how to respond. "No, I don't know, father," he replied softly, feeling the pressure of the moment. Alan leaned back in his chair, his expression softening as he exhaled a quiet sigh. "Ren," he began, "you've reached the age to manage your own territory. Have you thought about where you'd like it to be?" The question caught Ren off guard, replacing his anxiety with a sense of surprise. Managing a territory? Ren hadn't even considered such a responsibility. It was beyond anything he had imagined for himself in this new life. He blinked in confusion, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "Inheritance of land?" he asked almost naively. Alan's expression shifted as he sighed again. His son's response told him that Ren hadn't fully understood the gravity of the situation. With a patient tone, he clarified, "Yes, Ren, you will indeed have a territory of your own." Alan rose from his chair and walked over to a large map on the wall. "The land you will oversee is located in the northwest. It's relatively safe, but the food supply has always been a difficult issue due to the lack of mages," Alan continued, his voice growing more serious as he spoke. "While our territory is stable for now, the future of the Coriol Empire is uncertain. The royal family is in decline and the political system is crumbling. The lords are in constant conflict with each other, and the competition is fierce and often hidden." Ren listened intently, the weight of his father's words sinking in. He had noticed the tension in the empire since his rebirth. The royal family's influence had waned, and political stability seemed to be slipping away. He felt a deep, unexpected care for the world around him, a sense of responsibility that he had never known in his past life. Ren didn't want to lose the people who genuinely cared for him, and this desire was becoming a driving force within him. Seeing his son deep in thought, Alan felt a twinge of concern. He worried that he might be placing too much pressure on Ren, and so he tried to reassure him. "You don't need to feel overwhelmed, Ren. You still have your older brother, your sister, and me. We will always be here to protect you." But at that moment, something shifted within Ren. An idea sparked in his mind, and he looked at his father with a newfound seriousness. "Father," he said, his voice steady, "if the food supply issue is solved, our territory would be much safer, wouldn't it?" But Ren knew something his father did not. He wasn't simply relying on enthusiasm. In his mind, he already had a solution, one built on the accumulated wisdom of humanity, born from thousands of years of development and countless industrial revolutions. With a confidence that was both surprising and profound, Ren spoke with determination, his voice now firm and resolute. "Father, let me handle the food issue." Alan, momentarily taken aback by his son's sudden declaration, studied Ren's face closely. Ren's seriousness, combined with the confidence in his eyes, left no doubt that he was fully committed to this endeavor. Alan felt a shift in his perspective. Perhaps his son, despite his youth, might have the vision and capability to tackle such a challenge after all. Island City, located in the farthest reaches of the ALL and Dewey territories, was both a land of potential and a land fraught with challenges. To the north, it bordered the territory of Grand Duke Ryan, a sworn enemy of the Edgar family. To the west, the enigmatic land of the elves lay, and to the south, the vast and endless ocean stretched far beyond the horizon. The city's precarious position, wedged between these three formidable powers, made it a constant battleground, marked by bloody conflicts and frequent raids. The fertile lands of Island had been long abandoned, its once thriving fields now barren and lifeless. The population had dwindled to a sparse few, and the city itself seemed drained of vitality, its spirit worn down by years of strife. As Ren, the heir to this territory, traveled toward Island City in his carriage, he immersed himself in reading the collected documents about his new domain. The weight of the responsibility ahead settled on his shoulders, but he knew that the first step to reviving the land was to address one of its most pressing needs, its severely dwindled population. Without a workforce, any hope of bringing about industrial growth was futile. However, he also recognized the enormity of the task, starting from nearly nothing. Ren had a special advantage, though, a skill granted to him upon his arrival in this world, known as Human Resource Scan. This ability allowed him to assess the talents and abilities of those around him, making it easier to spot individuals with extraordinary potential. He had already tested this skill with his family and had developed a sense of the standards required to recognize talent in this world. He understood that his first priority upon arriving in Island was to find such people, those with unique skills and abilities who could aid him in the restoration of the land. Leah, his trusted companion, watched him with concern as he pored over the documents, her worry growing with each passing moment. The Duke's instructions to her were clear: support Ren, but ensure that he didn't turn the city into chaos. Leah's thoughts were a mixture of hope and apprehension, praying that Ren's decisions wouldn't lead them into further trouble. Meanwhile, inside Island City at the City Lord's mansion, a man spoke anxiously. "My lord, I heard the Duke's youngest son will be arriving today. Should we strike first? They say not only does Duke Alan spoil his youngest son, but his brother and sister adore him as well." His voice was edged with worry, but across from him sat a masked figure, cloaked in shadows, whose voice was cold and detached. "No need," he replied calmly. "Don't touch Ren for now. We'll await the master's orders." Beside him stood a nervous blonde-haired man, visibly anxious at the mention of Ren. He was concerned that Ren might uncover his forgery of financial records and his embezzlement of taxes. However, the masked man simply chuckled, dismissing Ren as a pampered, spoiled playboy with no understanding of financial matters. "Just give him a few random books when he arrives," the masked man added with a sneer. "He'll be here soon. Go greet him." As the blonde-haired man left, the masked figure's anger flared, a dark thought simmering within him. "Aldine," he muttered under his breath, "the time has come for you to pay for your crimes." Ren's carriage approached Island City, and as it stopped outside the city, Ren took in the sight of the vast, abandoned fields stretching before him, his brows furrowed at the desolate landscape. "Leah," he asked, "can I see a map of the area?" Leah quickly handed him a map, and Ren studied it carefully. His gaze focused on the river to the west and the harbor to the south. An idea sparked in his mind. If he could dredge the river and build a canal to connect it to the sea, he could breathe new life into the land. The thought energized him, but his moment of inspiration was interrupted by a desperate cry. "Father, please don't gamble anymore." Ren turned toward the voice and saw a young girl kneeling before a man, clutching his leg in desperation. The man, presumably her father, was determined to use their meager savings to gamble, despite the fact that the money was meant for her mother's treatment. The girl sobbed, pleading with him not to risk it. "If we lose this money," she cried, "Mother won't make it." The man roared, ordering her to let go of him. He was convinced that he would win big and recover all his losses. His temper flared, and he angrily raised his hand to strike his daughter. But before he could make contact, Ren moved swiftly. With a powerful punch, he sent the man sprawling to the ground. Ren's eyes flashed with fury, though he winced in pain immediately afterward. It was the first time he had ever struck someone. Leah rushed to Ren's side, her face filled with concern. "Young master, Next time you want to hit someone, please give me a heads up so I can bring protective gear. Ren chuckled weakly, explaining, "It was a spur-of-the-moment thing. You wouldn't have had time." He then turned to the man, still seated on the ground, clutching his face in pain. Ren's expression darkened with disdain. "You take the money meant to save your family and gamble it away, even striking your own daughter? Are you out of your mind?" The man, now fearful, scowled and demanded, "Who are you to meddle in my business?" Ren stepped closer, his voice cold and imposing. "Who I am doesn't matter," he said firmly. "If I ever see you near a gambling den again, I'll make sure you're dealt with." The coldness in Ren's words made the man go pale, and in a panic, he quickly promised never to gamble again before hurrying away. Ren turned back to the girl, who stood in shock. He gently asked, "Are you all right?" and activated his system to check her condition. The screen displayed her stats, and Ren was surprised to find her name was Lillian. At 17 years old, her stats were mostly ordinary, except for one unique attribute, a special connection to agriculture and harvesting. Ren immediately recognized her potential. This was someone who could contribute to the restoration of the land. Ren smiled warmly at Lillian. You're heading into the city to find a doctor for your mother, aren't you? Why not come with us? We're heading there as well." Lillian, puzzled and embarrassed, wondered how Ren knew. She hesitated, worried she might dirty his carriage, but Ren reassured her. "A carriage is just a means of transportation, just some planks of wood put together. There's no such thing as clean or dirty." Then his tone shifted, becoming more serious. "Besides, I have a few questions for you." As they continued, Ren's thoughts deepened, his face showing both irritation and thoughtfulness. "I want to know why there's a gambling den in a place like this," he murmured. He turned to Lillian, who explained the city's dire situation. Last fall, Grand Duke Ryan's soldiers had attacked Island, leaving many dead. Early this spring, the city had been struck by floods, devastating the land and leaving the people struggling to survive. Ren walked through the ruined streets, surrounded by beggars and signs of poverty. He knew what he needed to do next, a full population census. He needed to understand how much productive labor remained. His first stop would be the city lord's manor, where he hoped to assess the reserve funding available and what could be allocated for infrastructure support. Ren asked Lillian for directions to the city lord's manor, but before she could respond, a shout interrupted them. "Out of the way, you lowly people!" A blond man on horseback came galloping down the street, uncaring for the people around him. Leah quickly pulled Ren aside to avoid a dangerous collision. The man continued on without a second thought, leaving behind a cloud of dust. Leah, angered by the man's lack of consideration, glared after him. To her, anyone who dared to harm Ren deserved to die. Ren, struggling to breathe as Leah held him tightly, finally managed to get her attention. She released him, and he reassured her, "Thanks to you, I'm not hurt at all." But his expression quickly grew serious again as he turned to Lillian. "Do you know who that man was?" Lillian, trembling in fear, confirmed that the man was the young master of the Elwyn family, whose family owned the gambling dens in Island. "He's quite wealthy," she added. Ren smiled, a plan forming in his mind. "This is an opportunity," he said, his confidence evident. "We'll visit the gambling den. I need to gather funds for building infrastructure here." Lillian, nervous but curious, warned him against going. "Young master, you can't go there. If you do, the gambling den will take all your money." Ren, unfazed, smiled reassuringly. "Don't worry. They won't be taking any money from me." As Ren walked forward with determination, Lillian couldn't help but wonder just who this noble young man really was. Soon, Ren stood before the infamous gambling den, a massive, ostentatious building that stood in stark contrast to the modest houses surrounding it. Uniformed guards loitered at the entrance, scanning passers-by with idle suspicion. Ren gave a faint smile as he stepped forward, his eyes sharp with resolve. "Just wait," he thought. "I'll take everything from you and use it to fund my industrial production line." Inside, the den roared with noise, dice clattering, people shouting, and desperation thick in the air. "Please lend me 10 gold coins. I'm sure I'll win the next round. Just 1 gold, just 1 more. I won! I really won!" No, that can't be. Ren's expression darkened as he surveyed the room. As long as this den existed, these people would never know honest work. It was a parasite, draining the lifeblood of the city's already struggling populace. Leah stepped beside him and whispered, "Young master, our soldiers have surrounded the den. Shall we proceed?" Ren raised a hand. "Wait," he said. "There's a bigger fish in here. I want to catch him first." As if on cue, a staff member approached him with a practiced smile. "Young master, welcome. What would you like to play today?" Feigning naivety, Ren replied, "I'm not very familiar with gambling. Just want to try a few rounds. Could you recommend something simple?" The staffer's eyes glinted. To him, Ren looked like the perfect mark. Young, wealthy, clueless. "I suggest our dice game, young master. Very easy." He handed Ren 2 complimentary chips. "Here, try your luck." Ren accepted the chips with a surprised smile. How generous. Suppressing a smirk, the attendant led him to a table. Ren casually placed both chips in the slot. The dice were rolled. 6 and 6. "Big 6, the dealer called out. "Ah, so close," the attendant said, shaking his head with feigned sympathy. "Such a shame, young master. You nearly won." Ren acted puzzled. "That was fast. Not very fun. I'm a bit hungry. I think I'll leave." But as he turned, the attendant stepped in front of him, his smile gone. "You'll need to pay for your chips first, young master." Ren raised an eyebrow. "Pay? You said they were a gift." The man sneered. "No gifts here. They were a loan. Each chip is worth 100 gold coins, plus fees and interest, of course. That brings your total to 250 gold coins. If you can't pay, you can always leave your maid here as collateral." Lillian, standing beside Leah, was furious. "Lies! They're scamming you, young master. Each chip is worth only a silver coin." The attendant's expression twisted with anger. "Where did this little wench come from? Guards! Beat her!" He didn't finish. Ren's fist collided with his face in a blur, sending him flying across the room and crashing into a table. Gasps erupted. Chips scattered across the floor. Chaos broke loose. Ren straightened his clothes calmly. "You have no right to speak here." Gamblers scrambled for the fallen chips like rats. Ren watched them with cold eyes. All of them. Useless. And a voice boomed through the den. "Who dares cause trouble in my casino?" Everyone froze. The crowd parted as a man strode in. Ren immediately recognized him. It was the same arrogant figure he'd seen earlier atop a horse in the city square. The one called Weo. "The big fish has arrived." Ren smiled slightly. Weo scanned the scene with a glare. "Beat these fools and remind them of the rules." His guards charged in, ruthlessly striking gamblers regardless of age or plea. Screams filled the air as Weo turned to intimidate the rest. "Behave yourselves, or this will be your fate." Lillian trembled, clinging to Leah's arm. "This is my fault. If I hadn't brought you here." She remembered the moment Ren had taken her mother to the hospital, begging the doctors to save her, promising to pay all costs. That kindness weighed heavily on her heart. Stepping forward with trembling knees, she shouted, "You're not allowed to scam my brother." Her defiance stunned the crowd. A child standing up to a lord? "Whose child is this?" someone whispered. "She's got a death wish," another murmured. Weo's face twisted with rage. "You dare talk back to me?" Lillian stood her ground. "You run this place just to rob people. You've destroyed families. I won't let you bully good people like my brother and sister." Weo lunged, fury in his eyes. But before he could strike, Ren stepped forward, grabbing his wrist mid-swing. Calmly, he activated his skill, Human Resource Scan. Name, Weo Dwin, Loyalty 5 traits, Cruelty, Bloodlust risk level high, Betrayal, probability 89%. So, this is the Dwin family's watchdog, Ren thought. Dangerous and untrustworthy. Weo scowled. "It seems you don't agree with how I run things." Ren released his wrist. "On the contrary, I completely understand. In this world, rules are written by fists." Weo smirked. "Then you should know, I have the biggest fist in Ireland." Ren stepped forward, his voice steady. "I don't care who you are. I only care about one thing. My fist is bigger." He clapped his hands. Instantly, Ren's soldiers stormed into the casino, weapons ready. Later that evening, a grand banquet was held in Ren's honor. Nobles and merchants from across Arlen City gathered, each with their own motives. Chief among them was Lucas, the cunning patriarch of a powerful family. He had hoped to use Weo to manipulate Ren into a profitable alliance, but Weo was conspicuously absent. A herald announced Ren's arrival. The room went quiet. "Ah, young Master Ren, I'm the head of the Raven family. Please accept this humble gift. I am from the Jose family. This is my daughter, a refined lady of talent." Ren raised a hand. "Enough. If you're all here, let's begin." He motioned to a servant who unrolled a large blueprint. The room leaned in, intrigued. This is a dam design I drew this afternoon, Ren announced. During construction, we'll work with skilled craftsmen to finalize the details. The nobles whispered among themselves. What's a dam? Is it for fishing? Ren signaled for Leah to hang a map. Then he began explaining. This afternoon, I surveyed the terrain of Island City. The floods here are caused by a canal in the far north. If we build a dam there, we can regulate water flow, irrigate in dry seasons, and prevent floods during rains. Lucas's eyes widened. Ingenious. If it works, harvests will skyrocket. Why does this concern us? An older man asked. Because I need investors, Ren replied coolly. That drew protests. We're poor too. Exactly. How can we fund such a thing? Lucas remained silent, watching. But Ren wasn't finished. No need to act poor, he said with a smile. This afternoon, I seized a casino and confiscated nearly 50,000 gold coins. And that's just one of many. The room fell into stunned silence. Which casino? Not mine, I hope, someone muttered. They knew many of them had secret stakes in Arlen's underground gambling empire. And worst of all, the biggest casino was backed by Lord Andrian himself. Lucas's expression remained calm, but rage brewed beneath. Fool! If he'd stayed quiet, I might have tolerated him. But now he's touched my interests. He stepped forward. Young Master Ren, seizing a casino without authorization breaks imperial law. Others joined in. Yes, he's right. You can't violate the law, young Master Ren. Ren listened quietly, unbothered. When I asked you to invest, you played poor. But when I offer profit, you cry law? Don't think I don't know. You're all in on these casinos. I'll give you one last chance. Save yourselves, or I'll do it for you. The soldiers shifted. The nobles tensed. Lucas scowled. The Grand Duke won't tolerate this boy. Others echoed the threat. Ren simply smiled. You want to talk law? Fine. Let's talk law. His voice was calm, but it carried authority. Today we discuss the law properly. At Ren's command, 2 bound men were brought into the grand hall. The nobles fell into hushed murmurs as they recognized the bruised faces. These were attendants of Weo, Lucas's son. Lucas's expression faltered, barely masked by a forced calm. Why were these 2 here? They were always at Weo's side. Could something have happened to his son? Ren's voice was calm and measured. Mr. Lucas, do you recognize these 2? Lucas maintained his composure. No, I've never seen them before. What's this about? Ah, don't be so tense, Ren replied with a smile. It's nothing too serious. They just tried to assassinate me yesterday. Gasps rippled through the room. Ren glanced casually at Lucas. I remember them mentioning they had someone backing them in this city. Someone who could control Island. Sound familiar? Lucas's face twitched. A bead of sweat trickled down his temple. He said nothing. Ren turned to his soldiers. Untie them. Let's see if anyone here recognizes them. As the ropes were undone, the nobles leaned back, wide-eyed. They did recognize them, Weo's men. And if they had tried to kill Ren, things were about to get very ugly for Lucas. Lucas acted before anyone could speak. With sudden violence, he seized a dagger from a nearby table and charged. You filthy commoners, you dare raise a hand against the Duke's son? Die! He stabbed both men in the heart, silencing them forever. The room froze. Blood pooled on the floor. The nobles stared in horror but said nothing. Lucas, after all, was the most powerful figure in Island, at least until now. Breathing heavily, Lucas turned back to Ren. Sir Ren, I heard about the attack. I acted in a moment of anger. Please forgive my rashness. Ren studied him a moment, then smiled faintly. Of course, you're a nobleman with a strong sense of justice. Lucas bowed low. Just doing what I must. Ren turned toward his soldiers again. Bring in the main culprit. Let's see if there are any more nobles here as just as Lord Lucas. Lucas's face darkened in panic. Then, Weo was dragged into the room. You stupid commoners, untie me! My father is a great noble. He'll kill every last one of you, Weo shouted, struggling against his captors. Lucas went pale. So that's why his son hadn't shown up earlier. Weo looked around, caught sight of the 2 corpses on the floor, and lost it. You dare kill my men? Men? You're going to pay for this, you white-faced fool. I'll torture you until you beg for death. Ren chuckled. So not only do you want to kill me, you want to torture me too? That's right, Weo bellowed. No one dares oppose me in this city. If I say you die, you die. Ren grinned wide. Excellent. This is the first time I've met someone as brave as you. He turned slightly. Lord Lucas, do you agree with your son's words? Weo scoffed. You're about to find out who you're messing with. This man is... Before he could finish, Lucas stormed forward. You disgraceful child! Shut your mouth and kneel! Confused, Weo hesitated, but Lucas shoved him to his knees in front of Ren and fell to his own knees beside him. My lord Ren, my son is young and foolish. Please, spare him. I'll give you all of my wealth. Just don't destroy my family. Weo's eyes widened. He finally understood. This was the Duke's son, the one his father told him to befriend, the one he had mocked and threatened. You're the Duke's son? He stammered. Ren's face hardened. If I weren't, do you think I'd walk in here with this many soldiers? Weo collapsed into a bow. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I was wrong. Please forgive me. Lucas joined in, his pride shattered. The Elwyn family will serve you with all our hearts, Lord Ren. We swear eternal loyalty. Ren stayed silent for a beat, then said, Turn over all the illegal assets your family has amassed, and your house will be spared. Lucas bowed deeply. Yes! Thank you, Lord Ren. Thank you. And glancing nervously at the city lord seated nearby, Lucas hesitated, then leaned in and whispered, My lord, I must warn you. Lord Eldry plans to betray the Duke. He's colluding with enemies beyond our borders. The nobles gasped again, turning toward Eldry. The city lord stiffened. Then, glancing nervously at the city lord seated nearby, Lucas hesitated, then leaned in and whispered, My lord, I must warn you. Lord Eldry plans to betray the Duke. He's colluding with enemies beyond our borders. The nobles gasped again, turning toward Eldry. The city lord stiffened. He stepped forward and bowed. My lord Ren, thank you for seeing through this deception. I swear I am loyal to you and the Duke. Ren nodded. Good, I believe you. But inwardly, he activated his scan skill. Eldry's attributes appeared. Loyalty, 15 special trait, greed. Ren kept smiling. Both Lucas and Eldry are just stepping stones. Lucas is already finished. Eldry, you'll be next. I just need to use you a little longer. After the banquet ended, Ren continued working late into the evening. That day, the nobles had contributed over 100,000 gold coins, an amount nearly equivalent to the taxes collected from the city of Island over 2 years. Yet this did not please Ren. Leah entered the room carrying a cup of tea. Taking it, Ren spoke with displeasure in his eyes. Do you have any idea how wealthy those nobles truly are? Leah didn't respond. She had a more pressing concern. What are you planning to do about what Lucas said at the party? If the city lord truly intends to betray us, it would put you in grave danger. Ren asked her to remain calm. I know you're worried about me, but there's no need to rush. I'm certain Eldry has plans to betray us, but now is not the time to confront him. Leah asked why he couldn't act now. Stretching, Ren stood up and explained slowly. Because I don't yet know the full extent of his influence in Island. The enemy hides in the shadows. Acting rashly would only cause chaos. Until I've uncovered his entire network, it's best to let him think I'm just an ignorant young lord, oblivious to the world around me. The following morning, at the Mages Guild, Eldry met with Guildmaster Malcolm and handed him a piece of paper. After reading it, Malcolm was furious and exclaimed, This is absurd! Eldry remained calm, asking Malcolm not to overreact. He claimed that Ren was too young and overly eager to prove himself to the Grand Duke. Malcolm cut him off, irritation clear in his voice. City Lord, there's no need to defend him. Even the Grand Duke speaks respectfully when dealing with his mages. Seeing Malcolm's reaction, Eldry was pleased. He felt Ren had brought this trouble upon himself. Initially, Eldry had no means of winning over the Mages Guild, but now Ren had handed him the perfect opportunity. Malcolm, still fuming, stormed off with the paper in hand. That little lord, how dare he do something like this? I'll demand an explanation from him today. Feigning an attempt to stop him, Eldry inwardly rejoiced. He believed that Ren had now offended the Mages Guild and would soon find himself isolated in Island. Meanwhile, Ren was focused on sketching the details for a hydraulic construction project. The work reminded him of the hard life he had lived in his previous world. At that moment, Leah entered to inform him. The Guildmaster of the Mages Guild, Malcolm, wishes to see you. Malcolm's arrival surprised Ren. He quickly made his way to the parlor to meet him. The moment Ren entered, Malcolm angrily demanded, Lord Ren, what is the meaning of this? Why have you insulted the Mages Guild in such a manner? Ren, completely bewildered, asked why Malcolm was angry and how he had offended the guild. With little patience, Malcolm placed a recruitment notice in front of him. It read, "No mages, the disabled, or the elderly and infirm will be hired." Malcolm snapped. "Lord Wren, don't play dumb. Wasn't this notice issued by you?" Wren took the paper, confirmed it was indeed his notice, and explained. "Yes, but it was related to my dam construction project. I didn't see the connection to offending the Mages Guild." Malcolm, however, disagreed. "Your recruitment notice explicitly excludes mages. This is a direct insult to the guild." Wren was at a loss. He hadn't expected that life here would be so competitive, that even mages would seek manual labor jobs to make a living. Malcolm, still furious, continued. "Young Lord Wren, if you cannot provide a reasonable explanation today, all mages in our guild will refuse to serve you in the future." Wren frowned slightly and silently called out to his system. "System, check this person's stats for me." The system promptly displayed Malcolm's information. Besides the strength stats typical of a mage, his loyalty level was 82. Personality, inquisitive and straightforward. Wren concluded that Malcolm had been manipulated. Wren smiled. For someone with this level of loyalty, he didn't feel offended by Malcolm's actions. Patiently, he explained, "Master Malcolm, you've misunderstood me. I have no intention of disrespecting the Mages Guild. There are 3 reasons I chose not to hire mages. First, limited mana. A mage can only perform a small amount of work each day and cannot complete the project on time. Second, the cost. A mage's salary equals that of 10 common laborers. Third, social responsibility. Most mages are supported by the guild and don't have to worry about food or shelter. Ordinary people, however, have no such support. As a lord, it is my duty to think of them first." Malcolm was unsatisfied with this explanation. He argued that the world revered magic, and that those without magical talent deserved to be trampled beneath the feet of mages. These words irritated Wren. He admitted that Malcolm's observation might hold true, but he didn't agree with it. "Starting here in Island, I will prove to everyone that mages are just ordinary humans, and nothing special." This statement was a massive insult to Malcolm, who immediately issued an ultimatum. "Lord Wren, if you don't want to confront the Mages Guild, retract your words immediately." Wren coldly reminded him, "Master Malcolm, watch your tone. If not, my maid will have grounds to execute you for disrespecting a noble." Malcolm was startled. Leah had already pressed a knife to his throat, her eyes cold and menacing. Terrified, Malcolm stammered, "Young Lord Wren, what are you talking about?" Wren smiled. "Nonsense? There is indeed a law for this. If you don't believe me, Leah can make a small cut and we'll see whose side the court takes." Terrified, Malcolm quickly apologized. "Lord Wren, I was wrong. Please forgive me this time." Wren thought to himself, his loyalty hasn't decreased. It seems he's merely being used out of sheer stupidity. With this in mind, he decided not to make things difficult for him. He ordered, "Leah, see the guest out." Malcolm thanked Wren and hurriedly left. At that moment, the system issued a notification. "Beginner task complete. Use the investigation function on humans 10 times. Progress, 10 tenths. Newbie gift pack has been sent." Another task appeared. "Train 5 characters with high stats. Progress 0.5. Feeling pleased at completing the task, Wren decided to check his rewards. Outside, Eldry was waiting for Malcolm. As soon as he saw him emerge, he rushed over with a concerned expression. "Guildmaster Malcolm, how did it go? Was everything successful?" Malcolm sighed and shook his head, feeling humiliated. "Lord Wren not only refused to listen to me, he kicked me out." Eldry grew annoyed that his plan had failed, but quickly devised another idea. "Guildmaster Malcolm, I have a solution. Not only will it make young Lord Wren change his mind, but it will also force him to revere you." After his first plan failed, Eldry immediately thought of another approach. He incited Malcolm to find a way to make the townsfolk refuse to work for Wren. That way, Wren would eventually have to turn to Malcolm for help. However, Malcolm thought the plan was unfeasible. Wren had offered excellent working conditions which the townsfolk would surely agree to. At this moment, Eldry made another suggestion. If those who work for Lord Wren turn out to be lazy and idle, Wren will undoubtedly become disappointed in those commoners. Malcolm flatly disagreed. "I'm only dissatisfied because Wren didn't hire mages to work. I can't go against him for that reason alone." Eldry continued to persuade him. "Guildmaster Malcolm, trust me. Don't forget, commoners are inherently lazy. That's why they're starving, with no food to eat. If the land can't yield crops, why can't they go hunting for meals? People as lazy as them could never genuinely work hard for Lord Ren. After hearing these words, Malcolm was reluctantly persuaded. Hesitant but resigned, he agreed to give the plan a try. Meanwhile, Ren's recruitment notice was posted in the town center. A crowd of townsfolk gathered to read the announcement, discussing the new lord's intent to build something and his call for workers. The information on the notice left them stunned. The workday would start at 9 a.m. and end at 5 p.m., with 3 daily meals provided in addition to a wage of 10 coins per day. A young man questioned aloud, "Why is this new lord being so generous with us? Do you all want to work?" Another replied skeptically, "This must be a scam. The nobles here have deceived us many times before." Others in the crowd agreed, asserting that working could be dangerous, and they might even lose their lives. At that moment, Lillian stepped forward and shouted, "You must not insult the Lord. He told me himself that he would make sure everyone could live a better life." Her sincere words were met with mocking laughter. The townsfolk dismissed her as naive and ignorant of how cruel nobles could be. Lillian's father also chimed in. "You've been bewitched by that lord, haven't you?" Ignoring her father's words and the crowd's ridicule, Lillian stepped forward and declared that she wanted to register to work on the dam. The recruiter, a young man, remained unfazed by the townspeople's comments. He calmly told Lillian's father that he could work on the dam, but Lillian herself could not. Confused, Lillian asked why she was being excluded, insisting that she was healthy and capable. The young recruiter explained, "Young lady, judging by your appearance, you're likely underage, aren't you? Lord Ren has made it clear that no children under 18 are allowed to work. If we hire you without his approval, we would surely face punishment from him." With that, he handed Lillian's father a registration form and said, "You can work on the dam, where you'll get 3 meals a day, an 8-hour workday, and a wage of 10 coins paid daily. If there are no other issues, sign here and you can start tomorrow." Although a little disappointed, Lillian still looked at her father with encouragement in her eyes. "Father, you must do good deeds. You absolutely cannot be lazy." He smiled and patted his daughter's head. "Don't worry. I won't gamble anymore, and I definitely won't disappoint young Master Ren." He then reminded her to stay home the next day and take care of her mother, who was too ill to do any strenuous work. These words were overheard by the recruiter. Before Lillian and her father could leave, he called out, "Wait! Come back here!" The sudden call surprised Lillian's father. He stopped and turned around. "Is something wrong?" Looking concerned, the recruiter stepped forward. "You just mentioned that your wife is ill, right?" Feeling uneasy, Lillian's father replied, "Yes, sir. My wife is gravely ill and truly cannot work." The recruiter gave a reassuring smile. "I'm not asking her to work. Lord Ren specifically stated that if workers participate in the dam construction, their family members can stay in the workers' dormitory during the project." The term dormitory confused Lillian's father. Seeing his confusion, the young man explained, "You can think of it as temporary housing provided by Lord Ren. During the construction, your family of 3 will be given a place to stay. Once the dam is completed, you can return to your original home." Hearing such generous terms, Lillian's father was deeply moved. Overcome with emotion, he knelt down and expressed his gratitude. The young recruiter quickly stepped forward to help him up. "Please, there's no need for that. Let me show you to a room you can choose." All of this was witnessed by the surrounding townspeople, who were astonished. So the Lord's words were true. Let's sign up before it's too late. The crowd quickly descended into chaos as people scrambled to register. Meanwhile, in his office, Ren was monitoring updates from the system. A new notification popped up. "Congratulations, you have received the lithium battery blueprint from the newbie gift pack." Instead of joy, Ren felt irritated. Without a generator, a battery is useless. Does the system expect me to find a lightning strike? After venting for a moment, Ren fell into deep thought. He was particularly troubled by the new task: train 5 individuals with high stats. He had no idea where to find such people. Initially, he considered training Leah, but after reviewing her data, it was clear she no longer had any potential for growth. After some deliberation, Ren concluded that his only option was to search for talented individuals in Island City. While he was contemplating, a knock came at the door. Leah's voice called from outside. "Young master, Lillian has come to see you." Ren allowed her to enter. Lillian walked into the room, her face full of worry. "My lord, there's something wrong at the construction site. Everyone seems too lazy to work." Her words took Ren by surprise. Ren's expression darkened as he listened to Lillian's account. "Everyone felt fatigued, all at once?" he asked. Lillian nodded. "Yes, my lord. They said it was like their bodies had been drained overnight. Even my father, who was so motivated yesterday, could barely lift his tools this morning." Ren leaned back, deep in thought. This isn't normal. A group of healthy people suddenly losing all their energy? Either someone is poisoning them or draining their energy by magical means. He turned to Leah. "Send for the medical team and have them inspect every worker immediately. Also, bring in someone from the Mages Guild. If magic is involved, we need to know." Leah bowed and left to carry out his orders. Ren looked back at Lillian. "You did well to report this quickly. Stay by your father's side for now, and make sure no one else falls ill. I'll get to the bottom of this." Some speculated that because they hadn't worked in so long, their bodies had grown unaccustomed to labor. One person even suggested taking a day off to rest and resuming the next day. Lillian dismissed their excuses. "There's no such illness. It's obvious they're just being lazy." Unable to persuade them, she came directly to Ren to report the matter. After hearing her story, Ren hurried to the construction site. Upon arrival, he confirmed that the workers indeed seemed too weak to work. Using his ability, he analyzed their stats. Everything appeared normal, except for one abnormal status. They were all under a curse. Turning to Lillian, Ren informed her, "They're not sick. They're cursed." After this discovery, Ren glanced around and decided to use his new skill, geological survey. He had initially planned to test the ability during the dam's construction, but it could be applied immediately. With it, Ren could analyze rock composition, mineral structures, hydrology, and topography within a set range. Under Ren's command, the system activated the survey within a 10-kilometer radius. Within minutes, complete results appeared in his mind. He was disappointed to find that the area lacked oil or metals, but something strange appeared within the scan's range. Sensing something unusual beneath the surface, Ren quickly ordered Lillian's father to help him dig a hole. The man immediately responded, "Yes, Master Ren, we'll dig, no matter how tiring it gets." After digging about a meter down, the group uncovered a strange black stone. Ren crouched beside it and examined it. "What is this? Could it be that we've unearthed something we weren't supposed to?" Standing nearby, Leah was stunned. Could it be that Master Ren is a magical genius? Even I couldn't sense the faint magical energy from this, yet he could detect it. Ren ordered the group to remove the crystal and carefully store it in a box. Once everything was secured, he turned to Leah. "Under normal circumstances, what should someone cursed do to resolve it?" Leah was caught off guard by the question, but she answered, "Cursed individuals usually seek out priests at a church to remove it, or they visit the Mage Association to request assistance from high-ranking mages." Upon hearing the words Mage Association, Ren frowned. It was as if he had found the root of the problem. Without another word, he ordered Lillian and her father to accompany him. They were going to the city's church to find a priest. Lillian looked anxiously at Ren. "Master Ren, is my father truly cursed?" Ren placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Don't worry, I'll make whoever did this pay." Without wasting time, the group of 4 made their way to the city's church. Upon arrival, they were greeted by a beautiful priestess who smiled warmly. "Welcome, Master Ren." Always cautious, Ren activated the system to assess her loyalty before allowing her to treat anyone. System scan initiated. Within seconds, the results appeared. Loyalty level 95%, race elf, actual age approximately 257 years, appears 24. Ren was surprised. She wasn't human. Still, with a loyalty level that high, she could be trusted. "I am Ari, the holy maiden of this church," the priestess introduced herself. "What brings you here today, Master Ren?" Ren gestured toward Lillian's father. "This man appears to be cursed. Can you help him?" Ari nodded. "Allow me to examine him first." She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, a golden glow radiated from her irises. She stared at the man for a moment before confirming, "You are correct. He is under a curse." "Can you remove it?" Ari smiled and raised her hands. A luminous sphere of light formed between them, floating gently into the man's chest. Dark energy was expelled from his body, dissipating into the air. The man inhaled deeply, his eyes wide. "Master Ren, I feel incredible. I'll return to work right away and finish everything today." Ren chuckled. "No need to rush. Wait until everything's fully resolved." He then retrieved the black crystal he had stored and handed it to Ari. "This was found at the construction site. Can you tell me what it is?" Ari examined the object. "This is a typical magic crystal, brimming with magical energy. Such crystals are commonly used to cast curses, but this wasn't a curse designed to kill. It's more like a prank. If the caster wanted, they could have easily ended his life." Ren's expression darkened. "Is it easy to make something like this?" "For a high-level mage, it's simple. They could craft one crystal a day and toss them around like seeds," Ari explained. "So they're sabotaging my project," Ren muttered. Ari nodded. "A project like yours, which benefits so many, has reduced the number of people relying on our church for aid. Your success has drawn attention." "Is there a way to remove the curse from the entire site at once?" Ren asked. Ari shook her head. "No, you were lucky to dig this crystal up. If you plan to rely on that each time, your dam will never be finished." Ren sighed. "Then I need to solve this at its root." Ari hesitated, then added, "The church can't help further, but I know someone who might. She's a bit eccentric. Are you willing to meet her?" Following Ari's directions, Ren and Leah soon arrived at a grand mansion, the home of Selena, former president of the Mage Association. Just as Ren knocked, Leah yanked him back. An explosion erupted on the upper floor, smoke billowing from broken windows. From the chaos emerged a stunning woman, muttering angrily, "Failed again? I'll blow Island City to dust if I have to. I will create it." Unfazed, Ren entered the mansion and politely presented his request. Selena didn't even look at him before waving him off. "Find someone else. I'm busy developing a magical device." Ren raised an eyebrow. "A wand?" Selena sneered. "Don't insult my work with your ignorance." Leah, ever loyal, narrowed her eyes. "Watch your tone when addressing young Master Ren." Selena scowled. "You've got spirit. Strong magic, too. Why not stay and become my assistant? Help me finish my project, and I'll help your little young master." Lightning crackled across her body. Leah prepared to retaliate, her voice sharp. "Miss Selena, if you lack manners, I'll be happy to teach you." Ren stepped between them. "We're here to ask for help, not start a fight." He looked around at the cluttered workspace. "Did you make all these? Are you developing magical items?" Selena beamed with pride. "Yes, but they're all failures. I'm trying to create a device to seal the lightning element within my body." Ren blinked. "You mean a device that stores electrical energy?" "Exactly," she said. "The last explosion was from the containment failing." Ren considered her problem. "If I help you create such a device, will you help me with the Mage Guild?" Selena scoffed. "This isn't a child's game." "I'm not playing," Ren replied calmly. "I have a blueprint." Selena narrowed her eyes. "Fine, if you succeed, I'll crush that fool Malcolm and make the guild obey your every word. But fail, and I'll punish you myself." With her assistance, Ren assembled a battery pack using the blueprint from the system. 8 large lithium batteries linked together. When complete, Selena installed the components but remained skeptical. "These stones can't hold magical energy, they'll explode," Ren smiled. "This pack can store 185 watt-hours. Try it." Selena began charging the device, her lightning magic surging into it. To her shock, the battery held firm, absorbing every bit. "Why didn't it explode?" she muttered. Ren smirked. "Is that all your power amounts to?" Enraged, Selena poured in her full strength. Still, the battery held. Ren checked the indicator. 87%. Impressive. Selena was stunned. This could power a city," Ren smiled. "And I will turn the Mage Association into a power bank." Selena was intrigued. "Young master, can you use lightning magic yourself?" "I can," Ren replied, "and I can make everyone on the island use it too." She scoffed. "Don't be ridiculous." "I'm serious," he said, eyes gleaming. "If you help me, I'll show you a world where magic isn't a privilege. It's for everyone." The next day at the Mage Guild, Malcolm was reading peacefully, convinced Ren would come crawling. Instead, the door burst open. Selena stormed in. He stood up, shocked. "President Selena?" She walked straight to him, voice cold. You dare to confront the Grand Duke's heir? Are you planning a rebellion? Malcolm paled. What? Of course not. Selena grabbed him by the collar. Be honest. What have you been doing at the construction site? Panicked, Malcolm confessed. I gathered the mages, told them the young master insulted us. We made cursed crystals, then teleported them under the site to sap the workers' energy. I only wanted him to apologize and work more closely with us. I didn't mean any harm. She didn't answer. Recall every mage involved. Now. Yes, Guildmaster? Malcolm scrambled off. Selena then pulled out a talisman. Young master, the Mage Guild won't bother you again. Through the talisman, Ren replied, Thank you, Miss Selena. What about Eldry? Want me to take care of him? She asked coolly. I can make him vanish without a trace. Ren waved a hand. No need, he's bait for a bigger fish. Selena smirked. Very well, but call me when you begin your next invention. I want in. I'll let you know. For now, have your mages keep charging those batteries. Meanwhile, at the city lord's estate, Eldry met with a mysterious man cloaked in shadow. Sir, Eldry reported, the brat has taken control of the Mage Guild. What now? Don't panic, the man replied. The guild is no threat. The dam is the real issue. If it works as promised, the people of Island will thrive. We must destroy it. I've already set a trap, Eldry said smugly, and I'm pressuring the nobles in charge of food supplies to raise prices. Ren won't last until the dam is done. Are you sure they'll side with you? The man asked. They won't betray profit, Eldry said, flipping a coin. That brat's funds will dry up long before the project finishes. The man's figure dissolved into smoke. In the market, Lillian tried to buy supplies only to be shoved back by a rude shopkeeper. No money? Get lost. 2 bags of grain cost 1 gold yesterday. Why is it 2 gold for 1 bag today? She demanded. My shop, my price, he snapped. He raised a hand to strike her, enraging the watching crowd. At the church, Ari clenched her fists. 3 days and food prices have tripled. She handed a pouch of coins to her aide, Era. Buy what you can. We'll deal with the rest later. Era hesitated. This is too much. Just go. Suddenly, Leah appeared, snatched the pouch, and handed it to Ren. Ren smirked. Let's work together on a bigger job.